In this last section, our 12.4, we'll look at measures of central tendencies. This is a little bit of basic statistics and how we measure numbers. We're on page 112 of your workbook. The arithmetic mean, usually we just call it the mean, is the same as what we usually call the average. Mean is more specific. Average could mean any one of several different ways of measuring numbers. Mean, there is only one way to find the mean. And how do we find it? We add up the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. And most of you already know that. So let's do a practice problem. Example 1. An airplane mechanic was asked to prepare an estimate of the cost for an annual inspection of a small Bonanza aircraft. The mechanic's records show that 8 prior inspections on the same type of plane had required 9.6, 10.8, 10.0, 8.5, 11.0, 10.8, 9.2, and 11.5 hours. To help prepare his estimate, the mechanic first wanted to find the mean inspection time of the past job. Find the mean. So we just talked about how that means we need to add up those numbers. So we have 9.6 plus 10.8 plus 10.0 plus 8.5 plus 11.0 plus 10.8 plus 9.2 plus 11.5. So let's find that first in our calculators. I paused the video while I typed all of that in, so maybe you did the same thing, but I got 81.4. Now we need to see how many numbers we had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just double check in the problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we want to take 81.4 and then divide by 8. And we get 10.175. Now, if you notice, each one of these problems, each one of the numbers given to us was rounded to the nearest tenth. So let's do the same thing here. The 7 afterwards tells us to go up. So we have 10.2 hours as the mean. The median is the middle number, but the numbers have to be arranged in order from smallest to largest. If there are 2 middle numbers, then you have to find the mean of the 2 middle numbers. So let's look at an example. We want to find the median inspection time for this for the problem we had in example 1, and I listed the numbers here again just so we would have them. But the first thing we have to do is put them in order from smallest to biggest. So the first number I see is 8.5. And then 9.2, and then 9.6, and then 10.0, and then 10.8, and then another 10.8, and then 11.0, and then finally 11.5. So once we have them in order, we need to find the middle one. So a lot of times people kind of cross them off from each end or move their fingers in from the outside edge, but cancel off each one on the outside edge of each time. That tells us that these are the 2 middle numbers, and because we have 2 middle numbers, we need to find the average or the mean of those 2. There's 2 of them, so we'll divide by 2. So we'll take 10.0 plus 10.8 is 20.8, and we'll divide by 2, which is 10.4. So our median is 10.4. A machine shop produces 7 copies of a steel disc. The thickness of the discs, as measured by the vernier caliper, are in inches. 1.738, and then they give us the 7 numbers that we need, and we want to find the median thickness. So the first step, again, is to put these in order from smallest to biggest. So the first one I see is 1.737, and then 1.738, and that happens twice. And then 1.739, and then 1.740 happens twice. Notice that if it happens more than once, you need to write it more than once. And then finally, 1.741. So now we can find the middle number. We'll cross off the ends, and then the next two, and then the next two. We end up with 1.739, and this is inches. The mean and the median are the two most commonly used averages in statistical analysis. The median tends to be a better representation of the numbers when there are a few values that are much larger or much smaller than the other numbers. These extreme values can throw off the mean and give a misleading representation if the mean is used. The mode is the number that occurs the most often. If there's no value that occurs the most often, then there's no mode. There can also be more than one mode. So let's look at a few examples. So again, sometimes it's more helpful to list these in order from smallest to biggest. Here we can see we have 2 3s, we can see we have 2 6s, we can see we have 2 4s, oh wait, we have 3 6s. So we have more 6s than anything, so the mode is 6. If we look here, none of these numbers are repeated. So because there's nothing repeated, there's no mode. There's no number that appears the most often. And then in example C, we can see that we have 9 here twice. 12 doesn't repeat, but 13 repeats there. 11 and 8 don't repeat. But 9 and 13 are both there 2 times. So that means we have 2 different modes, 9 and 13 both.